I learned 3 valuable lessons in what was supposed to be a super simple and quick project. Number 1, there's always a more simple way. And when you see it, it seems so obvious. We'll come back to that. Number 2, there's more than one way to do everything in woodworking. This is important. We'll come back to that. And number 3, deals that are too good to be true are too good to be true. And these lessons are brought to us by Squarespace. Let's start with number 3 and work our way backwards. I'm always looking for good deals on wood. A couple of years ago at an estate sale, I came across some walnut slabs for dirt cheap. The problem is, whoever slabbed them up made them too thin. So as they dried, they warped. And the most I can get out of it is about 3/4 of an inch after planing down. I don't work with live edge in my projects, and walnut slabs have a lot of sapwood. So I need to cut off the sapwood and the live edge from this slab. And since this was air dried, there's also a lot of checks and cracks on the ends, which also need to be cut off. So in the end, what I thought was an amazing deal on this large walnut slab left me with just this, which is perfect for today's project, but deals that are too good to be true are too good to be true. Before we continue on with the lessons learned, let me explain what we're making today. I have been in search for the perfect to-do app. I think the first to-do app I ever had was called Wunderlist, and since then I have tried them all, the free ones, the paid ones. I even made my own to-do app within Notion, and it just got too complicated. What I have learned is I need an actual physical piece of paper, something I can look at, take with me, and always see. Now, the built-in to-do app on my phone has gotten better over the years, and I can have my to-dos on the home page, but the phone is a distraction. I pick it up and then I'm looking at social media. What I've learned is I just need a physical piece of paper to write stuff on. Now, Post-it notes, they're fine. They're fine, right? They work. They're fine. I have recently discovered that you can get blank playing cards. These are I love these things. I've been using them for about a year. They are the perfect size. They've got a little bit of heft to them so I can put it in my pocket, take it with me to the store. They just work perfectly. The problem is I need a guide to help me write on them. What I want to do today is I want to make a little stand that holds these blank playing cards, but also I can stamp them with a custom-made stamp as a guide to help me write on there, create little check boxes. Because checking off things that you've completed for the day or your goals is super satisfying. There's a little dopamine hit just checking that off. I didn't have to use my phone. That is what we're making today. A little stand to hold these, but also custom-made stamps to make that. Now I'm gonna go through a bunch of options for you. I realize this video now has 2 different subjects, the lessons learned and the physical to-do app. I'm going to try to weave them in and out in an elegant way that is valuable for everyone that is watching. Also, Post-it notes. They're fine, right? They're fine. They're fine. I drew this up in Fusion 360. I've learned that with complicated shapes, you can simplify the process by doing everything in layers. So I have a bottom layer, a middle layer, and then the top pieces. And then when they're all combined, they create something that you couldn't typically do out of a solid chunk of wood. I am making sure that on all the pieces, the end grain is on the left and right side. So when it's all glued up, it looks like it is out of a solid piece of wood. Before we get back into the lessons learned, I'd like to tell you about today's sponsor, and that is Squarespace. And I'm going to do so all within the time it takes me to cut this out on the bandsaw. Squarespace just makes my life easier. It's a website where you can go to make a website. I sell a variety of things. Digital downloads that includes plans to the projects that we make. I also sell signed books that I've written and I ship them directly from my house, as well as merch that ships directly from the fulfillment center. That could be complicated, but not with Squarespace. It just makes it so easy. Checkout is seamless and simple, but powerful. You can accept credit cards, PayPal, Apple Pay, and in eligible countries, offer customers the option to buy now and pay later with Afterpay and ClearPay. Squarespace now offers courses. You can start with a layout that fits your brand, upload videos, and customize everything with next generation editing technology. Squarespace is just so simple and easy to use. It's the backbone to my business and just makes my life easier. So visit squarespace.com, and when you're ready to launch, visit squarespace.com/makesomething for 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. We have our 3 layers done, and since they came from the same board and the grain is all running in the same direction, it's going to look like one solid piece of wood when we're all done. I'm using wood glue and CA glue. The CA glue is going to work as a clamp while the glue dries. This allows me to move on to the next step quickly. You'll notice that I'm only gluing the middle layer and the top layer so I could sand the inside faces to make it look like one piece of wood. This is just easier now. Once I get that all sanded and filed away, I can then glue on the bottom piece. I'll explain the 2 different cubby holes here in a second. They each serve a different purpose. I want to make an edge for the to-do list to sit at an angle when at my desk so I can always see my to-do list. It's really important that I always be able to see it. This is the secret to my productivity. The board that I was using was not thick enough. Now I could have laminated a couple of pieces to make it thick enough, but I've got this beautiful piece of walnut just sitting in the closet, which is absolutely perfect for this. After cutting it out on the bandsaw, I decided to engrave a fun little motivational quote on the front of it. In theory, this should always be covered up with a to-do card, but if you can make a project more fun, make it more fun. And there's one of the blank playing cards right there that I used to write down some of the dimensions. I'm telling you, these guys are the perfect note-taking pieces of paper. This little desktop to-do stand is going to hold the blank playing cards, the stamp that we're going to make here in a little bit, and 3 different colors of pens. I use the pens for different priorities on my to-do list. So now it is time to make the stamps. Now there are many ways to go about this. Woodworking is basically 3 things. There are more, but work with me here. There are straight cuts, curve cuts, and pockets. To do that, you could use a table saw, a hand saw, a circular saw, a track saw, a jigsaw, a bandsaw, a coping saw, a router, a CNC, or even a chisel. There are multiple ways to do every single thing in woodworking. When you're watching these YouTubers and they're using a tool that you don't have because it's not in your budget or doesn't fit in your shop, remember, there are multiple ways to do everything. This is so important in all areas of life. My job is to inspire you. Your job is to figure out what to do with that inspiration. I'm making my rubber stamp out of solid walnut on the table saw and the lathe. For the stamp part, I found some laser etchable rubber on Amazon. So I'm going to use my laser cutter to make the stamp. I also designed and ordered one from rubberstamps.net, and it hasn't arrived yet. It's actually on the way, but didn't make it in time for the video. I've got a feeling that it's going to be a better quality one than the one I made with my laser, but we'll see. You could carve out your own rubber stamp. That sounds very difficult to me, and if you can do that, I've got a lot of respect for you. And there is one more way that blew my mind, and we're gonna talk about it in the next section when we discuss there's always a simpler way. Hold tight. I ended up making a completely different design that is far more simplified. We'll talk about this here in a second. I didn't do any research before making this. I just made a list of parameters that I wanted this to have. So I knew that it needed to hold a deck of blank playing cards. It needed a place for the to-do list to rest up against. It needed 3 holes for 3 different color pens, and then it needed a place for the stamp. Now, how the stamp works is you take one of the blank playing cards, you set it inside there, you take the stamp, you ink it, and then it fits within this little cubby hole, you stamp it, and you're good to go. What I didn't think about is, what do I do with the stamp pad when I'm not using it? I should have incorporated a little cubby hole or something into this guy. Couple of things. I tried out 3 different inks. You want the archival ink. It dries the fastest. The thought is I want to stamp this and then be able to use the cards right away. There are 2 different types of playing card blanks. There's coated and uncoated. You need the uncoated, otherwise it takes like a minute or 2 to dry. So look for the archival ink and the uncoated playing cards. I will have links down below with everything that we use, including the pens that I'm using. These are like a Papermate gel pen that I just have been enjoying lately. So this is this guy. Totally happy with it. There is always a more simple way. In typical Pachuto fashion, I didn't do any research before making this because I didn't want to be influenced by other designs until I came across this guy on Etsy, and it blew my freaking mind. This is so simple. This is everything that I want it to be, all right? So I made this on the CNC, but you could make it with a router and a router jig. So the Etsy guy, he's using index cards, which are bigger. So this is just a smaller version of that, but it holds a whole pack of blank playing cards. And the to-do card fits in this tiny little groove carved right here and sits back just like that. Instead of using a rubber stamp, he printed out a stencil, and this is freaking genius. You would think it would take a lot more time to stamp, but it really doesn't. I printed this out on my Bamboo X1 Carbon. We're gonna talk about this new 3D printer in the next video. I'm not a 3D printing guy, but I might be now because of this machine. It's so cool. I played with different widths, and I ended up with the perfect design. So this fits right on top of the playing card, And then the pen fits right in there. You can etch that out. You can take your playing card, set it in the front, and then your stencil will sit behind it when not in use, just like the blank playing cards. I won't be selling this stencil at all. I don't think he makes one for this size, but I bet if you reached out to him, he could. If he doesn't want to make a custom size, let me know and I will sell these guys. But I don't want to take anything away from him because what he made is just pure genius. What I didn't do is incorporate a way to hold my 3 pens. And so I do need to make a second version of this to hold my 3 different pens. Unfortunately, I won't be selling plans for this particular project, but I will have Fusion 360 files for all of my Patreon members.